morning, distinguished participants, representatives of the WTO Secretariat, colleagues, and students. My name is Gulsnay Tuktabayeva. I'm a student and a member of International Relations Club at Alato International University in Bishkek. Welcome to today's side event, Empowering Mountain and Landlocked Communities Through Trade Facilitation, Market Access, and Student-Centric Learning. It's my honor to moderate this important event together with Natalia Fedorov from Utah Valley University. We would like to express our sincere appreciation to His Excellency Dr. Nurbek Maksutov and the World Trade Organization for providing students from the Kyrgyz Republic, the United States, Mongolia, and other landlocked and mountainous developing countries with the opportunity to advocate for the interests of the countries through discussions on free trade and market access.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Natalia Figueroa, and I serve as president of the Utah International Mountain Forum, a coalition of student clubs at Utah Valley University, which advocates for sustainable mountain development in the state of Utah, North America, and the United Nations. Okay. I am honored to join you in person today as a co-monitor of this event and demonstrate a student-engaged learning in action when our joint student team will work together on contributing to the ongoing discussions about the importance of the free trade of our countries with mentorship of our teachers.
So we will now begin our program with welcoming remarks from Mr. Raul Torres, Head of Development Policy Unit, Development Division, World Trade Organization, Landlocked Developing Countries. Please, stage is yours.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to welcome you all here to the WTO. Thank you to the mission of Kyrgyzstan, to the mission of the United States, and to the universities that you represent for visiting us here in the organization. I think for many of you, this will be your first time here in the WTO. So, well, as you know, the WTO is the place where members of the WTO, or 166 members, negotiate the rules that govern global trade. And it's very important, this work, because it touches upon the communities that you represent, the mountain communities and the communities that are in landlocked developing countries. We know that landlocked developing countries suffer from great geographical disadvantages that make it more difficult for them and for people in mountain remote areas to precisely access markets and fully take advantage of the negotiated rules and market access here in the WTO in order for them to achieve their developmental objectives. So a lot of the work that we do here in the organization, and particularly me as the focal point on LLDC issues here at the WTO, is to ensure that communities and these disadvantaged members are able to, first of all, know the rules of the organization, and this is partly why you're here, to get to know the work that we do, and also to make sure that they apply those rules, or that they fully benefit from those rules on market access opportunities in order, as I said, to achieve their developmental objectives. We know that trade has an important role in lifting individuals as well as communities from poverty and improving the standards of living, and that's written in the objectives of the organization, in the founding charter of the organization, which is the Marrakesh Agreement, as well as the objective of sustainable development, which is also an important component of the current situation of landlocked developing countries and mountain communities who are being affected by issues like global warming and desertification in several cases. I think that the event here today is a great one. We are always here in the Secretariat guided by our members, and we always say that we're member-driven, and it will be very important today that we are student-driven. so that we're driven by you and that we really listen to your concerns and see how you see the work of our organization in helping you achieve your objectives and your objectives for economic growth and improving standards of living in your organization. So I think that without further ado, I think that I will then give the floor also to our colleagues from that are representing the missions of the countries that are represented here today. So thank you very much for coming to the WTO and welcome. This is your house.
Thank you very much, Mr. Torres, for your welcoming remarks. It is my honor to now introduce Dr. Nurbek Maksutov, Head of the Representative Office of the Ministry of Economy and Commerce of the Kyrgyz Republic on the World Trade Organization Affairs.
Dear colleagues, first of all, it's my great pleasure to greet you all. First of all, I would like to have a special thanks to the student community. These young enthusiasts from Kyrgyz Republic, from United States, from Mongolia, to come to Geneva to lead this important initiative. So this is, I think, one of very important moments to fix in the WTO's activities that students-led, as Raul has mentioned, students-led initiative is coming to the walls of WTO to discuss important, for the WTO too, important topics. I would like to also thank the university leadership by the doctors Jumaliyev, Dr. Disart, Dr. Abdisaev, for your kind support for this students' initiative, that you also providing your own inputs and supportive actions on the students. I would like to special thanks to our representatives of the mission, the Deputy Payment Representative of the United States, Dr. Bisbee, and the Counselor of the Mongolia mission, Zolzaya, for allotting your valuable time to this event. Mongolia is coordinating the LLDC group here in WTO platform for all the issues, and they have very strong input on the LLDC's works, at least the last 2 years. And the LLDC issues, LLDC topics which are discussed in the WTO is very well supported by also developed countries, together with the United States and other developed countries. So that's why this is a very important moment to say here. So what can I say? Promoting trade, not only trade, but inclusive trade, promoting, improving the access, market access, strengthening integration into the global trading system. This is one of the core goals of the World Trade Organization. And on this regard, to provide the shared, equitable conditions to get the benefits from the international trading system is one of the goals of WTO for all communities, regarding where they're located, especially for developing, least developed countries. That's why the young enthusiasts sitting here in Bishkek, who want to discuss this issue, it very well fits with the goals of the WTO, because inclusiveness is one of the core pillars of the WTO's mission. And that's why another thing to mention here is that while advocating for free trade and the market access by these students, enthusiasts, and I know that there are many other enthusiasts around the world, today's event highlights the important role of how the tertiary education for making these young people responsible for their own learning and professional growth. So I hope we will today enjoy the student-centric nature of the program, developed jointly by academic institutions from Kyrgyz Republic, United States, and Mongolia. So wish you good luck in this important discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maksutov. I will invite now Mr. David Bisbee, Deputy Permanent Representative of the United States to the WTO. Please, the floor is yours.
Well, welcome to Geneva and virtually, and it's a pleasure to participate today. The United States mission here has been very active in supporting a range of priorities that target or specifically address the needs of landlocked developing countries. I was a negotiator on the trade facilitation agreement a number of years ago, and we worked very closely with Mongolia and the LLDC group on issues related to border cooperation, which is incredibly important, and then also how transit issues come across the trade facilitation agreement. Also, I think you may know in the past, the United States has put out a number of proposals trying to use the WTO mechanisms to strengthen inclusivity in trade policy making, trying to make sure that everyone had a seat at the table and that they could effectively use it. It was something that we felt was very important, and I think often overlooked in WTO agreements are those consultation or notice and comment aspects that really help governments engage with the relevant stakeholders, whether they are traders or affected communities. And so hopefully in your discussions, you can draw out a little bit of how the WTO agreements really compel governments to sit down and widen the table and make sure that there's a conversation broad enough for trade policy to accommodate needs of either isolated communities or countries that need transit across other countries in order to reach a seaport or something like that. So really encouraged to see student engagement and academic engagement at the WTO, and hope that today's discussion is really useful to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bisbee. I will now invite Ms. Zose Doritso, Counselor of the Permanent Mission in Mongolia, to the WTO.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Zolzaya Doritso. I'm a counselor at the Permanent Mission of Mongolia, and I oversee the WTO issues and LLDC. And let me just briefly inform you about landlocked developing countries group in Geneva done last year or previously. So LLDC continued to face deep-rooted structural challenges arising from the geographical disadvantages, high trade and transport costs, limited diversification, and heightened vulnerability to external shocks and climate change. Mongolia has been one of the active members of the LLDC group, both in Geneva and New York. Together with Austria, Mongolia co-chaired the negotiations on draft of Avaza program, which was adopted in August 2025 in Avaza, Turkmenistan. Mongolia assumed the coordinator role of LLDC group in Geneva September last year, and month after adoption of Avaza program. So past 9 months, we aim to strengthen the collective voice of LLDCs, advance shared priorities, and ensure coherent representation of group in key negotiations and policy discussions in Geneva. I would like to emphasize the key achievements that our modest contributions goes to. Coordinated LLDC participation in WTO bodies, including TFA implementation, services, development, and digital trade. Officially informed Avaza program of action for LLDCs for 2024 to 2034 to WTO General Council meeting last October. Convened successfully the LLDC ministerial meetings in October 2025 at UNCTAD 16 and in March 2026 at WTO MC 14. We consolidated members' position to be reflected in the outcome documents of those conferences, negotiated with other groups and delegations, fought well for inclusion. Drafted the reflected members' valuable inputs and commented in the LLDC ministerial declarations during UNCTAD 16 and MC 14, which were supported and adopted by esteemed LLDC members. Introduced 2 essential items at the transit dedicated sessions of the Trade Facilitation Committee last December and this June. These were WTO Secretariat report on advancing trade in LLDCs and mapping of transit corridors, and initial proposal to develop a transit corridor observatory based on this report. Strengthened cooperation with the WTO, UNCTAD, ITC, and UNICE, and other partners, the key areas of transit, logistics, and capacity building. Remained committed to implementing the AVASA program of action. Organized regular LLDC meetings, briefings, and maintained expert-level SWIFT communications. So that was all from Mission of Mongolia done during the chairmanship of LLDC group in Geneva. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Ms. Elzaya, for your thoughtful remarks. We will now continue with hearing greetings from the United Nations Mountain Partnership Coordinator, Ms. Julia Wolf, who plays an important role in promoting sustainable mountain development globally. Thank you.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, dear colleagues and partners. My name is Julia Wolf and I'm the coordinator of the Mountain Partnership Secretariat, which is hosted by the UN Food and Agriculture Organization. The Mountain Partnership is very pleased to co-sponsor this side event on empowering mountain and landlocked communities through trade facilitation, market access, and student-centered learning. The discussion highlights an important connection between open trade and the sustainable development of mountain and landlocked communities. Today's side event also marks an important milestone, 20 years of cooperation between the academic institution of the Kyrgyz Republic and the Utah Valley University under the Mountain Partnership Framework. This long-standing cooperation has supported joint advocacy for sustainable mountain development in the Kyrgyz Republic and the state of Utah and globally. This is no small achievement, and we are very proud to have supported that work. Importantly, this experience demonstrates a broad commitment to engaging youth, not only as future leaders, but as current actors in sustainable mountain development. Student-engaged learning brings together traditional and non-traditional learners to work alongside faculty mentors on challenges facing mountain and landlocked communities. Student clubs serve as operational core to this advocacy, providing structured pathways for young people to participate in policy dialogue, multilateral processes, and local economic initiatives. This approach strengthens youth capacity to engage with international frameworks. In this context, the Mountain Partnership Secretariat congratulates the Utah International Mountain Forum, a coalition of student clubs at the Utah Valley University, on its 15th anniversary, and acknowledges its collaboration with peers from Alatu University in the Kyrgyz Republic and students from other landlocked developing countries. This collaboration is an excellent example on how partnerships across countries, institutions, and generations can help translate global commitments into concrete actions for mountains and their commitments and their communities. Building on the momentum of the 5 years of action for mountain development, we wish success for the side event and for the planned presentation of the student-engaged learning model at the second Global Mountain Summit in the Kyrgyz Republic in October 2027. We also hope that the initiative will contribute to the discussions and outcomes of the 3 COPs in 2020 years. That's the 17th COP on the UNCCD, the 17th COP of the CBD, and the Climate COP 31, which brings together students from mountains and landlocked developing countries and ensures that they have a meaningful seat at the table. Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to further collaboration.
It is now my honor to introduce His Excellency Dr. Mukhtar Jamaliyev, former ambassador of the Kyrgyz Republic to the United States and WTO, among other important positions and postings, and mentor to our Kyrgyz students. Your Excellency, we are honored to welcome you. The floor is yours.
Good morning, distinguished colleagues, diplomats, experts, and students from the Utah University. It's a great honor to be a part of this event today. This is a very special event for me also, since I was also involved in the accession process of the Kyrgyz Republic to the WTO in 1998. And then I was also the permanent representative to the WTO since 2000. 4, and I served for 6 years. I think the topic of the landlocked countries and access to the sea and access to the market is a common topic, but involving now the students, young people to this topic, I think this is essential, and especially for Kyrgyzstan. And I'm so happy that my colleagues, students also now joined and participate. They have their own view on how to facilitate this process. And just recent researches, it also shows that to be a landlocked is not a big challenge, actually. The important is the process, and WTO plays very important role now because we have the agreement on trade facilitation. I think the implementation process is very important. I think also my colleagues from the Kyrgyz mission to the WTO that here organized this platform for us, and with the partners from the United States. I thank also to the mission of the United States. United States was one of the first country that actually recognized Kyrgyz Republic as a market economy country. I think this is important, removing the Jackson-Svennik amendment that helps us at that time after the collapse of the Soviet Union to promote the economic reforms and trade reforms. And now we are developing the new generation, young people. So the young people, they have to know the WTO process. They have to know agreement of the WTO. They have to negotiate new agreements and new deals while taking into account the development of the IT technologies, AI, and all those technical issues that is important now in the process of the trade facilitation. I wish success and good negotiations and outcomes, and I'm so happy to be a part of this process and to be involved in these negotiations. Thank you very much, and once again, looking forward to meet all of you in Geneva again in the future consultations. Thank you, and thank you for giving me a floor.
So thank you for this inspiring message, Dr. Mukhtar Jumariyev. We will now invite two more mentors of students from Utah Valley University, Dr. Jace Disharud, Chair, History and Political Science, Utah Valley University, and Dr. Bakhtibek Abdrisayev, Lecturer, History and Political Science, Utah Valley University, Mentor, Utah International Mountain Forum, Coalition of Students Club at Utah Valley University. Please, the floor is yours.
On behalf of the Department of History and Political Science at Utah Valley University, I express appreciation to Dr. Nurbek Maksutov for hosting today's event and continuing an established tradition with other top envoys of the Kyrgyz Republic to the United States and to the United Nations. Since 2011, our joint State of Utah Kyrgyz Republic student team has advocated for sustainable mountain development at different forums of the UN for sustainable development.
I would like also to thank Dr. Maksutov for providing us a really great opportunity for demonstrate here at World Trade Organization student-driven model for sustainable mountain development advocacy, which is happening thanks to the inclusive involvement of both traditional and non-traditional students in club activities. So it is allowing for us to ensure that all learners, both traditional, non-traditional, be able to play the role of the full-fledged contributors to the 2030 agenda for sustainable development. But no, I would like also to add maybe one detail which I never told at Utah University. 26 years ago, I was again proud to be under the President Akayev to make that Kyrgyz Republic became the first post-Soviet state to gain the Jackson-Svennik Amendment. And happened 26 years ago as a part of that Africa Trade Act with Albania. So Central Asian countries now, 4 of them are just maybe joining very soon. And why it's again great, because we have common feature here. Kyrgyz Republic and Utah, both places they're pushing for the open trade markets and globalization. Both governors are always telling about how Utah is great because of that being pro-trade, international mind, Mexico and other places. And many of my students here are also thinking about the same place. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Abdursaev. We will now move to the student presentation from the Kyrgyz Republic. On behalf of Alato International University and the International Relations Club, I would like to sincerely thank you for the opportunity to participate in this conference. I am pleased to introduce my fellow students and colleagues from Alato International University, Ms. Mukhlisa Nurdinova and Ms. Aykhanish Januzakova, who will present their perspectives on the Kyrgyz Republic, mountain communities, and trade facilitation. I will start our presentation by briefly sharing my perspective, after which I will pass the floor to my colleagues. Today's discussion takes place at the intersection of trade, climate change, digital transformation, and sustainable development. For landlocked and mountainous countries like Kyrgyzstan, these issues are not abstract. They directly define access to markets, competitiveness, and development opportunities. Kyrgyzstan, as a landlocked and predominantly mountainous country, faces structural constraints in international trade, particularly in logistics, transit dependency, and trade costs. At the same time, global transformation, especially digitalization and trade facilitation reforms, are opening new opportunities to overcome these barriers. In this context, today's presentations will explore both challenges and forward-looking solutions. My colleagues will address Kyrgyzstan trade realities, policy implications, and proposals for strengthening cooperation, capacity building among landlocked and mountainous countries. So with this, I would like to give the floor to Ms. Mukhlisa, who will present the K-trade geographical challenges and facilitation perspectives. Please, Mukhlisa.
Thank you, Gulshanay. Dear participants, as a student from Kyrgyzstan, it's a great honor to share our perspective at today's event. Kyrgyzstan is a mountainous and landlocked country located in the heart of Central Asia. More than 90% of our territory is covered by mountains. These mountains shape our national identity, cultural, and national heritage, but they also create significant challenges for international trade and transport logistics. Unlike countries with direct access to seaports, Kyrgyzstan depends on transit routes through neighboring countries in order to reach European markets. Kyrgyz exports often need to cross 3 or 4 international borders before arriving at their final destination. And let me illustrate this with a practical example. If a producer in Kyrgyzstan exports honey or dried fruits to Switzerland, air transportation may take approximately 3 to 5 days. However, when export documentations, custom clearance, transit procedures, and import formalities are taken into account, the total process may require between 7 and 13 days. Road transportation may take between 18 and 28 days, while rail transport combined with road logistics can require up to 29 to 43 days. These estimates are based on typical logistic timelines between Central Asia and Europe, including border crossings, transit requirements, and administrative procedures. In other words, for countries such as Kyrgyzstan, trade is not only about distance, it's also about procedures, regulations, and connectivity. According to international studies, trade costs for landlocked developing countries are approximately 40% higher than for countries with direct access to the sea. For us, this is not only a trade issue, it's a development issue that directly affects competitiveness, entrepreneurship, and economic opportunities for a future generation. This is why the implementation to the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement is so important to reduce the cost of the transit. Moreover, its effective implementation can reduce administrative barriers, improve transparency, and accelerate the movement of goods across borders. At the same time, we believe that many existing procedures could be better adapted to the realities of the digital age. Today, international trade operates in the world shaped by artificial intelligence, digital platforms, and real data exchange. Yet many procedures remain complex and insufficiently adapted to modern technological capabilities. As a representative of a generation that grew up with internet and digital technologies, we see enormous potential in electronic documentation, paperless trade, digital customs service, and AI-powered solutions. And trade rules should be understandable not only to those who negotiate them, but also to those who apply them every day. exporters, students, and future professionals. For this reason, we would welcome greater participation of young people in WTO educational programs, digital trade initiatives, and capacity building activities. We firmly believe that the future of the multicultural trading system depends not only on institutions, but also on the next generation, and will carry these principles forward in the digital economy. Thank you very much for your attention. I would now like to invite my colleague, Ayxanush, to continue our presentation.
Thank you. The challenges facing landlocked and mountainous countries have already been outlined by my fellow speakers. The question before us now is how these challenges can be addressed in a world where trade is becoming increasingly complex and technology-driven. For countries such as Kyrgyzstan, physical barriers cannot be removed overnight. However, administrative barriers can be reduced. Procedures can be simplified, and new technologies can make international trade more accessible. Achieving this requires people who understand both the rules of the multilateral trading system and the technologies that are transforming global commerce. This is why we believe that investing in knowledge, skills, and international cooperation is one of the most practical contributions we can make today, especially for the landlocked and mountainous countries. Although such countries make up only about 10% of the world's states and are home to only about 4% of the global population, they face one of the greatest barriers to the connectivity, trade, and economic development. This is why investing in youth remains one of the most effective ways to overcome the limits of geography. We believe that trade promotes cooperation and contributes to peace. For landlocked countries, a transparent and rules-based trading system is vital. But such a system cannot function effectively without people who understand its rules and can adapt them to new technological realities. This is precisely why education and international cooperation matter. To contribute to this objective, as students and young professionals from Kyrgyzstan, we propose the creation of a regional WTO and trade facilitation network for landlocked and mountainous countries. The network could organize an annual summer school on international trade, 2 online policy dialogues each year, and joint research projects on trade facilitation and the use of artificial intelligence in customs and logistics. We also propose student and academic exchange programs and partnership between participating institutions. As partners, we are ready to host students, researchers, and international experts here in mountainous countries to discuss common challenges, exchange best and strengthen a shared understanding of trade development priorities. We hope to create a joint platform on international trade and artificial intelligence, involving at least 10 universities from landlocked and mountainous countries and partner institutions worldwide. We would welcome the support of the World Trade Organization through the participation of WTO experts in lectures, discussions, and capacity building activities for young professionals. Investing in the new generation of trade professionals is therefore an investment in a more open, peaceful, and inclusive international trading system. For countries like Kyrgyzstan, building human capital and strengthening international cooperation may be the most effective way to overcome the limitations of geography and to ensure that being landlocked never means being left behind. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you to our Kyrgyz student team for those excellent presentations and for sharing our perspective from the Kyrgyz Republic. We also warmly invite students and academic partners to the Kyrgyz Republic to continue our dialogue and strengthen future cooperation. We believe that lasting partnership begins with shared learning. So we will now continue with a presentation from our Mongolian student representative in Geneva. Like Kyrgyzstan is a landlocked and mountainous country with unique development opportunities and challenges. This perspective is especially important for today's discussion on trade, connectivity, and sustainable development. It's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Michidma. The floor is yours, please.
Thank you. Excellencies, esteemed representatives of World Trade Organization and fellow students, it's my honor to join you here today in the WTO, an institution that for landlocked developing countries represents not only rules, but roots to markets, roots to participate fully in global value chains. From September 2025 to June 2026, Mongolia served as a coordinator of the group of landlocked developing countries in Geneva, voicing shared priorities of 32 nations across WTO and across broader multilateral system. Through the broad contributions Ms. Zoltaya kindly mentioned in her remarks. Mongolia acceded to the WTO in 1997. For a country of 3.6 million people, landlocked between two of the world's largest economies, WTO membership achieved something geographically could not. It anchored reforms, disciplined trade policy, and affirmed that the location on a map does not determine standing in a rules-based system. Yet structural constraints still remains. More than 90% of Mongolia's exports remains commodity-based, and the transit costs rank among the highest. These are daily frictions encountered by producers and entrepreneurs. This is why trade facilitation, effective transit cooperation, and market access remain development imperatives for landlocked countries. From Mongolia's perspective, openness only delivers when matched with inclusion, and rules only matter when they translate into real opportunity. This brings me to a central dimension of inclusive and sustainable trade, the role of women. In Mongolia, women lead approximately 2/3 of SMEs and account for about 70% of the total workforce. In an economy constrained by distance, they have driven diversification, strengthened resilience, and sustained employment. Globally, women-led businesses face $1.9 trillion credit gap and receive only 2% of venture capital. Closing this gap would generate major productivity gains and add up to $6 trillion to global GDP. For a landlocked economy where geography already imposes a cost premium on every export, this is not an equity policy apprehended to trade strategy. This is the trade strategy. Mongolia has acted on that conviction. The ITC SheTrades Mongolia Hub supports hundreds of women entrepreneurs, while WTO ITC Weighted Fund selected Mongolia as one of the first pilot countries, enabling world women-led businesses to scale digitally access export markets. Mongolia has also successfully hosted the World Women Entrepreneurs Forum, convening partners across the regions to strengthen the investment and regulatory environment. Digitalization has further reshaped this landscape. Mongolia has seen rapid growth in e-commerce adoption. It allows producers in Gobi Desert to export to consumers in Europe, turning connectivity into a functional substitute for physical proximity. Mongolia's Vision 2050 builds on this logic, shifting the economy towards a value-based, sustainable, and knowledge-driven trade. Mongolia's experience offers a simple proposition. Geography defines constraints, but not ambition. With the right combination of trade facilitation, digital connectivity, inclusive finance, and skills investment, landlocked countries can move from margins toward mainstreams of global trade. As for students, through research and policy engagement like this one, we are not observers of the system, but active contributors to its evolution. The step does not end at the horizon. It extends as far as collective commitment allows to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Michidima, for your thoughtful presentation for bringing Mongolia's perspective into today's discussion. We will now continue with our presentations from students representing the United States, Utah, and the Utah International Mountain Forum, a coalition of student clubs at Utah Valley University. We will now hear from Janessa Michelle Purcell, followed by Ali Holt, and then my own statement remarks. We will then go from there in the program.
Aloha, my name is Janessa Michelle Purcell, and I'm the Senior Mentor of the Utah International Mountain Forum, UIMF, a coalition of student clubs at Utah Valley University, UVU. I would like to express our gratitude to Dr. Nurbek Maksutov and other WTO leaders for hosting this event, featuring us students as contributors to this discourse about free trade impact on LLDS and mountain states. It is a privilege for me to speak as a mentor with our professor, Dr. Baktibek Abdushev. Today's event will demonstrate the student-engaged learning SEL model in action. You will see how it encourages students to work to host this event while also solving real problems in their advocacy efforts for mountain communities with faculty mentorship. This year, our university commemorates the 20th anniversary of joining the United Nations Mountain Partnership, and UIMF celebrates its 15th anniversary. We are proud to have contributed to the efforts of the Mountain Partnership to have Target 6.6, Target 15.1, and Target 15.4 to be adopted, included, and implemented amongst the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Our contributions include the first UIMF President, John McClure, participating in the Rio Plus 20 Summit in 2012, which discussed the necessity to adopt the SDGs. In 2013, Jessler Molina spoke in support of the mountain targets at the Open Working Group on the SDGs in New York. In October 2015, Tony Medina led the UIMF team in making the preparations within 4 semesters to organize and host the International Women of the Mountains Conference at UVU. Graciously, UIMF's consistent efforts have been recognized. In July 2016, the United Nations Secretariat General's report on the Sustainable Mountain Development highlighted UIMF for successfully hosting this gender-focused event. As a woman of Pacific Islander heritage, born and raised on a mountainous island, we hold the responsibility of educating future generations to come. Yet we as mountain women are isolated and underrepresented. This has been evident with the exclusion of mountain women in the final document of any session of the Commission on the Status of Women to date. Nonetheless, from these efforts, we have learned about the importance of working with member states in decision-making at the UN, evidenced by the important roles of women and girls in decision-making and sustainable development. In the application of SEL, we as students have been able to apply lessons learned in the classroom into our communities to advance the SDGs in Utah. I led the UIMF team in serving the local community in various service engagements in partnership with the Orem Linden Rotarians and the Hopeful Orem Mental Health and Suicide Prevention Organization, and efforts to encourage accessible resources for all. Through SEL, each of us students studies certain aspects of SMD in the state of Utah or other mountain states. Last year, I studied with my colleague McKay Jones the air pollution problem in West Salt Lake to identify the main pollution contributors. We determined that because of the market principles and free trade-based economy in Utah, many state polluters are concentrated on the west side of the I-15 federal highway, which has increased health issues and illnesses for local students. This year, I've been analyzing the voluntary national review of the islands of St. Neves and Kitts, which indicates progress toward increasing access to clean water for its students, as has the VNR of the Kingdom of Tonga, has exemplified through their improvement of infrastructure and resource management to expand access to safe water and sanitation. These small islands have been making great strides in incorporating the SDGs to increase the quality of life for the communities and are models of good sustainable development. I thank Permanent Representative of the Kyrgyz Republic to the UN, Ida Kosmalia, for providing an opportunity for UIMF, myself, and students from Osh Technological University to advocate for mountain women during the side events at the 68th, 69th, and 70th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. Our joint Utah-Kyrgyz Republic team was recognized for the promotion of the mountain women rights in the 2023-2025 UN Secretary General Report on Sustainable Mountain Development. It was also an honor for me to host Ambassador Michelle Cison, the Assistant Secretary of State for International Organization Affairs at UVU on October 24th, 2024, when she praised UIMF for promoting mountain women's rights at CSW. The work of my colleagues and I are not done, but we express gratitude for the advancements thus far, and we hope to continue this work moving forward. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Allie Holt. I'm a political science student and serve as the Vice President of the Sustainable Mountain Development Club at Utah Valley University, or UVU. I am here advocating for increased attention towards sustainable mountain development around the world and the role of our collective collaboration in achieving this development. Through my research at UVU, I have studied the paradiplomatic relationship between the state of Utah and the Kyrgyz Republic and their collective engagement in sustainable mountain development, or SMD advocacy. This collaboration began nearly 23 years ago with the 2003 signing of the Memorandum on Mutual Understanding and Cooperation. This signing was followed by Governor of Utah Olen Walker visiting the Kyrgyz Republic for the celebration of the Kyrgyz statehood in 2003, and the President of the Kyrgyz Republic, Oskar Akayev's coming to Utah and UVU in September 2004. In 2006, UVU joined the Mountain Partnership, after which followed visits of the Speaker of the Kyrgyz Parliament, Murat Sultanov, to Utah in 2007, Utah Senate President John Valentine to Bishkek in 2008, as well as the visit of the Otamekan Party delegation led by Mr. Tekabayev to Utah in 2008. The interactions between Utah and the Kyrgyz Republic over the last 2 decades have initiated an exchange of knowledge and accountability that has benefited sustainable development in both mountainous regions. We hosted in Utah Ambassador of the Kyrgyz Republic Zamira Sitikova in 2007, 2008, Ambassador Jumaliev in 2013, Permanent Representative of the Kyrgyz Republic Dalibek Kadyrov in 2013, and most recently, Permanent Representative of the Kyrgyz Republic to the United Nations, Ida Kosamalieva in Utah in 2023. The example of the paradiplomacy between Utah and the Kyrgyz Republic surrounding sustainable mountain development serves as a lesson that expanding networks of communication and exchanges of knowledge facilitated by educational institutions between mountainous regions can impact sustainable development in these regions. Through this connection, both regions have strengthened the voices advocating for SMD, in particular at the United Nations. Having grown up under the Wasatch Mountain Range in the Rocky Mountain region of the United States, I have experienced the unique role mountains play in communities shadowed by them. Mountains are a tremendous resource, acting as watersheds, providing energy, agriculture, tourism, and resources. Sustainable development around our mountains is something Utahns have worked on improving since our founding. Since joining the Mountain Partnership, UVU jointly with the International University of Kyrgyzstan and Osh Technological University has been an active SMD promoter. Since 2011, much of this activism has been spearheaded by UVU, utilizing a student-engaged learning or SEL model. This model encourages students to collaborate together with mentorship of teachers and local organizations to empower students to take responsibility for changing their communities. The SEL model has driven the Utah International Mountain Forum, a coalition of student clubs at UVU, over the last 15 years to become the main SMD promoter in the state of Utah. Utah's increasing involvement is reflected in collaborations the state has made with other mountainous regions. Through SEL at UVU, my peers and I have served local communities and helped raise funds for local charities. I have created brochures, posters, co-hosted the 16th Annual UN International Mountain Day, and advocated for mountain women at the 70th session of the Commission on the Status of Women in New York on March 10, 2026. It is my hope that we will continue to support our mountain communities that are so often undervalued. Our efforts start at the community level, as demonstrated by the student-engaged learning model, and are only supported and expanded through the exchange of knowledge and resources, as demonstrated in the partnership between the Kyrgyz Republic and Utah. Organizations such as the WTO play an important role in supporting this collaboration and exchange of resources between regions around the world. Thank you.
Good morning, Your Excellencies. My name is Natalia Figueroa. I am from the mountainous state of Utah and also have Mapuche heritage from Chile. I serve as the president of the Utah International Mountain Forum, UIMF, a coalition of student clubs at Utah Valley University, UVU. On behalf of our delegation, we thank Dr. Maksutov and WTO representatives for organizing this event on the importance of free trade for landlocked and mountain countries and the role of education in this process. Today, we're developing entry-level diplomatic skills by advocating for sustainable development through the student-engaged learning SEL model. Since 2011, when UIMF was established, it has also served as an extracurricular and also encouraged both traditional and non-traditional students through hands-on activities to address as a group real-world problems of mountain communities under the faculty mentorship. As examples of SEL in action, we serve our mountain communities together with the Orrin Linden Rotarians. In December of 2025, we observed for the 16th time the UN International Mountain Day at UVU, the only academic institution in North America to do so. We did this jointly with students from Alato University when Dr. Jim Olive was one of the speakers. In addition, 19 UVU students, including myself, participated in a parallel event during the 70th session of the Commission on the Status of Women, where we spoke in support of mountain women. Through SEL, we managed the full process from planning to moderation of the event, later reported to the United Nations Mountain Partnership. SEL is also guiding our research as contributing to our statements at the UN advocacy events. I'm personally studying challenges of free trade for indigenous Mapuche communities in the Andes, who make up 1.3 million people in Chile. The Mapuche's identity and livelihoods are deeply connected to land, water, forests, and mountain ecosystems, which are so often challenged by economic development. For example, the salmon industry has made Chile the world's second largest producer and farmed salmon in the world. At the same time, it caused indigenous communities concerns about water quality, ecosystem turmoil, and the long-term sustainability of traditional livelihoods. Similarly, according to UNECE/FAO, forestry exports account for 13% of Chile's total exports. However, concerns have been raised regarding environmental sustainability and Mapuche land rights, particularly in relation to water consumption and the replacement of native forests with commercial species such as pine and eucalyptus. Through SEL, we have developed monitoring skills by analyzing voluntary national reviews at the high-level political forum. In my research on Norway and Liberia, Norway's VNR shows strong progress on SDG 6 through safe drinking water, sanitation, and integrated water management, while still acknowledging the need to restore ecosystems under Target 6.6. However, Liberia's VNR focuses mainly on drinking water, sanitation, water waste, and community participation, showing that mountain water ecosystems, indigenous, and rural livelihoods remain underrepresented in SDG 6 reporting. With SDG 6 under review this year, 3 of our peers are currently advocating at the HLPF in New York for SDG 6.6, while the rest of our delegation will continue during our visit next week. Based on my research, I respectfully encourage the WTO and its members to promote an ethical free trade framework that balances economic growth with environmental stewardship and meaningful indigenous and rural communities participation. I also encourage countries to strengthen future voluntary national reviews by explicitly reporting on mountain communities, indigenous peoples, and progress towards SDG Target 6.6, so that trade and sustainable development policies are informed by the communities and ecosystems they are intended to serve. Free trade has the power to improve lives. Our challenge is to ensure that it also protects the people, cultures, and ecosystems that make sustainable development possible. Thank you. We will now continue with our program with fellow UIMF students Amish Brock, followed by Dominic Maximus Keller, Megan Ashcraft, and Sophie Jackson. We will then go from there in the program.
Good afternoon, Dr. Maksutov, distinguished delegates, colleagues, and friends. I'd like to express my appreciation to you, the World Trade Organization Secretariat, and the United Nations Mountain Partnership for hosting today's side event, including education as one of the important factors for mountain communities in facilitating global trade. My name is Amish Brock, and I am a Utah Valley University or UVU political science major with an emphasis in global politics and with a minor in Russian studies. I also serve as president of the UVU Foreign Affairs Club and a vice president of the Utah International Mountain Forum, which over its 15 years has advocated for sustainable mountain development in the state of Utah and at the United Nations. I am honored to contribute to this side event today by discussing how trade facilitation and student-led research can support sustainable mountain development, particularly in the energy sector. In my research, I've examined how the Alpine region, including Austria, Switzerland, and Bavaria through broader German initiatives, has cooperated with the Kyrgyz Republic on sustainable energy through Swiss public building efficiency projects and water energy platforms, Austrian hydropower investment and technology partnerships, and German renewable energy knowledge sharing. These efforts strengthened energy efficiency, hydropower modernization, renewable planning, and regional cooperation. Although led by states with support from international financial institutions, they were shaped by World Trade Organization trade rules, standards, customs procedures, and market access conditions, showing how the WTO can support sustainable mountain energy by reducing barriers, improving standards cooperation, supporting green customs corridors, and coordinating aid for trade efforts. This research was possible thanks to UVU's student-engaged learning model, which we refer to as SEL. Through SEL, students not only learn theories and processes of SDGs and the WTO in the classroom, but also take that knowledge to the political stage itself. Students as one team conduct the research, organize the advocacy, present the findings, and raise funds while faculty mentor them. This model gave me the opportunity to prepare and speak at this side event today. SEL at UVU encourages us to first serve our local mountain communities, and we do this through the UVU Sustainability Committee projects and the partnership with Utah District Rotarians and the Orem Linden Rotary Club. I am also grateful to the Utah International Mountain Forum for giving me the opportunity to advocate through student-engaged learning for mountain causes at the United Nations, in particular at the 70th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. Members of our delegation also use SEL to study the voluntary national reviews of the mountainous countries, which will be presented during the high-level political forum on sustainable development in New York next week. SDG 6 under the revision has target 6.6 affiliated to the mountain water-related ecosystems, and we will study their implementation during next week's visit to New York. In conclusion, I would like to praise the WTO's role as a practical platform to facilitate fair trade between landlocked and mountainous countries, with an emphasis on increased exchanges of energy and resilience technologies. I also encourage the United Nations and the WTO to promote more student-centric learning programs so a new generation of leaders can contribute directly into the implementation of global development goals. Thank you.
Buongiorno. I would like to thank the World Trade Organization and Dr. Maksutov for giving us an opportunity to demonstrate Utah Valley University's student-engaged learning model in action. My name is Dominic Maximus Calor, and as a global relations student at UVU, I stand before you representing a generation of non-traditional and traditional student advocates. Under this student-led model, my peers and I work together as a group to solve local community problems under our teachers' mentorship. Through SEL, I have served as Vice President of the Utah International Mountain Forum and the Foreign Affairs Club, collaborated with the Orem Linden Rotary Club, and recently advocated for mountain women at the 70th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. I was born in the mountains of Utah, and my heritage lies in the mountains of Italy. While mountain communities provide critical global assets, they remain systematically underrepresented in global governance. The Food and Agriculture Organization has found that the 54% of landmass that is mountainous in Italy struggle with outmigration due to isolation, and they are vulnerable to climate-induced disasters, evident in 40 deaths this winter alone coming from avalanches. Mountain Partnership is the world's leading advocate for sustainable mountain development, and it's headquartered in Rome, Italy. Through the Mountain Partnership Product Initiative, 48 certified mountain goods have risen in value within the international market. The Mountain Partnership contributed to the advancements of local communities through the Fashion for Fragile Ecosystems at the Milan Fashion Week, and UVU has contributed to sustainable mountain development under the umbrella of the Mountain Partnership for 20 years now. I have been studying how AI-assisted environmental monitoring and drone-based search and rescue infrastructure developed in Italy have been mitigating risk in the Italian Alps. These technologies are strengthening disaster preparedness, protecting critical infrastructure, and saving lives in mountain regions already. The great leaps Italy has seen in protecting and saving lives in the mountains with new technological advancements can be a global resource if correctly shared with those countries and organizations within the Mountain Partnership, including the state of Utah and UVU. As an official member of the partnership, I give thanks to the World Trade Organization for endeavoring to eliminate tariffs on environmental goods and streamlining the open trade of emergency relief technology. Through the SEL model, we will also be attending the high-level political forum on sustainable development in New York next week. The focus of this opportunity is to study the voluntary national reviews of our assigned states. An analysis of Italy's 2026 VNR underscores the urgency of formalized mountain policy. Their VNR highlights a progressive approach to multi-level governance while pioneering Europe's first youth voluntary review, though it says very little regarding the development of their mountain communities. The state of Utah offers a good model of expanding sustainable mountain development through its trade facilitation and market access. We demonstrate also through student-centric learning how academic institutions elsewhere could also benefit from using inclusive student-driven education that ensures that young leaders in the mountain communities are included in shaping their own sustainable futures. Grazie.
Good afternoon, Dr. Maksutov, dignitaries, ambassadors, and fellow advocates. My name is Megan Ashcraft. I am a humanities major at Utah Valley University with a minor in political science and the current vice president of the UVU Rotaract Club. I thank the organizers of this event for this opportunity to raise my voice for mountain communities. This year, as part of UVU's student-engaged learning model, I have worked with my fellow students to advocate for and serve our local community in preparation for coming to the United Nations, including being part of a team who advocated for mountain women at the 70th Commission on the Status of Women and raising funds for the Orem Linden Rotary Club. My research focuses on how trade and economic development impacts disabled persons in the rural areas of Utah and the Appalachian region of the United States, a personal issue for me as a disabled person who grew up in Utah with familial roots in its rural areas in the Appalachian regions of Kentucky, Ohio, and Maryland. Utah and Appalachia can appear very different when it comes to disability. Utah ranks low in disability, whereas the Appalachian states are ranked very high. This makes what these areas have in common all the more important. Their rural mountain populations face increased levels of poverty and reduced access to education, healthcare, and employment, which is only exacerbated for disabled persons. Many rely on government programs which have faced challenges in recent years. The Utah legislature rejected proposed budget cuts to Utah's Division of Services of Persons with Disabilities in 2026. But Appalachian states have been heavily impacted by intense budget cuts to Medicaid and reduced clinic funding, with thousands expected to lose coverage and be put at an increased risk for institutionalization. These decisions are influenced by the current trade and market climate in the United States, which gives heavy emphasis to trade liberalization. While trade liberalization and market-based economies increase efficiency and competition for private healthcare institutions, because rural and complex healthcare is not seen as profitable, those at the intersection of these identities are often disproportionately affected by these policies. Thanks to UVU's SEL model, I have been able to do this research and advocate for disabled persons to be included in the conversation of sustainable mountain development. I have also had the opportunity to research the voluntary national reviews for 2 other countries to learn what efforts they are making to support their mountain communities in regards to Sustainable Development Goal 6 and Target 6.6. Cameroon has been working to protect its water resources by implementing the National Plan for the Implementation of Integrated Water Resources Management, Pollution Control, coordinating with several organizations to protect shared water basins and reform the national water policy. In the index, they mention performing 41 protection and reforestation projects which have helped restore the Bambutos mountain region and other areas, which is the VNR's only reference to mountain ecosystems. On the other hand, Tanzania is working to protect water resources through demarcation, strengthening water basin boards, and expanding regional water quality laboratories. There's only one explicit reference to mountains, with Kilimanjaro being mentioned in relation to water stewardship. With Cameroon and Tanzania having 5 to 7 and 2 to 3 million people living in their mountain regions respectively, the lack of mountain-focused policy in regards to SDG Target 6.6 shows that mountain communities and their water systems are underrepresented in regards to the country's reporting. In Utah, Appalachia, Cameroon, and Tanzania, something becomes clear. Mountain communities are frequently underserved and unacknowledged, feeling left behind and disadvantaged if their needs and concerns are not accounted for. I believe true sustainable mountain development and trade is only possible if it is inclusive of everyone, especially the most vulnerable in our communities. We must balance the growth and efficiency of trade practices with public policy that recognizes and empowers disabled persons and mountain communities to thrive. I urge the WTO to consider this in their future efforts to influence and improve global trade. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sophie. I am an honors political science student at UVU, and I praise the side event for highlighting the importance of empowering mountain communities and landlocked communities by facilitating global trade, as well as showcasing the student-engaged learning model. Having been born and raised in mountain communities, I have seen my own community struggle against climate change, racism, and economic disparity. These reasons have inspired me to deepen my support and knowledge of mountain communities globally. By joining SCL, I've been able to expand my educational horizons and serve local communities by volunteering and fundraising in partnership with the Orem Linden Rotary Club. These accomplishments gave me a chance to step away from my studies and make a personal impact on my community. While in this program, I began studying Japan, a prominent contributor to sustainable development goals both domestically and internationally. However, I have found that trade liberalization and open market policies have disproportionately affected Japan's mountain communities. The transition away from protective agricultural tariffs have accelerated farmland abandonment and depopulation in mountain communities. Mountain communities and small-scale farms struggle to compete against international imports. Since 1961, roughly 30 to 40% of Japan's farmland has gradually disappeared. As the mountains become abandoned, they lack the proper management to address the disappearance of native ecosystems and food sources due to climate-related disease. Building on this research, I began studying Somalia and Tunisia for our upcoming visit to the high-level political forum in New York City, discussing sustainable development with a particular focus on Sustainable Development 6, Target 6.6, which addresses mountains' water-related ecosystems. Nonetheless, my research has found similar disproportionate effects of free trade and market access, as well as the impacts of climate change on mountain regions. Somalia's VNR highlights the National Water Resources Strategy as the country's framework for sustainable water management while addressing climate change and water scarcity. Somalia's economy relies heavily on free trade, with livestock and agriculture contributing to 60% of the GDP while supporting 70% of the population. However, decade-long droughts have weakened mountain sustainability, depleted natural resources, and reduced trade security. Similarly, Tunisia's VNR highlights Target 6.6 process through monitoring and protecting water-related ecosystems. Nonetheless, trade openness and foreign investments have widened territorial inequality. Economic prosperity is prioritized in coastal urban hubs, while the pastoral mountain communities are left with little economic growth. Climate change continues to intensify water scarcity, and wildfires continue to decimate agricultural and pastoral lands used for livelihood and international trade. In conclusion, we must acknowledge the unique economic challenges mountain communities face and provide aid to address climate change in such regions. At the same time, we can continue to support educational programs such as SEL. Through education, we give students a voice and a chance to be proactive participants in policy and decision-making in international organizations, as my colleagues and I are doing today. Thank you for your time.
We'd like to thank the students who have spoken so far. We will continue with the program from hearing from Erin Lammy, followed by Abby Fisher.
Good morning. My name is Erin Lammy, and I am a student at Utah Valley University and a member of the Utah International Mountain Forum, as already mentioned, a coalition of student clubs that promote sustainable mountain development through the student-engaged learning model. I would like to thank the organizers of this side event and the representatives of the World Trade Organization for providing students with the opportunity to contribute to discussions on trade development and the challenges facing mountain and landlocked communities. Through student-engaged learning, students conduct research, engage in advocacy, and collaborate with faculty mentors to address real-world challenges. This model has enabled me to study how trade and economic development affects communities in different regions of the world. As part of my research, I am examining the voluntary national reviews of Jamaica and Algeria, which report on implementation of Sustainable Development Goal 6, including Target 6.6 on protecting water-related mountain ecosystems. Our research shows that sustainable economic development requires more than market access. Communities also need education, infrastructure, and opportunities to develop the skills necessary to participate in the global economy. When these elements work together, trade becomes a tool for reducing inequality and improving quality of life. Through the Utah International Mountain Forum and Student Engaged Learning, I have participated in community service, research, and international engagement that have connected local concerns in Utah with global development changes. These experiences have shown me that students can make meaningful contributions to international policy discussions while preparing to become future leaders. As the Utah International Mountain Forum continues its partnership with the United Nations Mountain Partnership, we remain committed to promoting dialogue, education, and international cooperation on behalf of mountain communities. By investing in people, expanding educational opportunities, and strengthening pathways to economic participation, trade can help communities overcome barriers created by geography and limited access to resources. Thank you for the opportunity to share our perspectives.
Hello and good day. My name is Abby Fisher. I am an undergraduate student researcher at Utah Valley University, UVU, with a background in psychological research, social impact assessment, and systems-informed strategy. I thank the organizers for the opportunity to speak today in support of mountain communities and to highlight how student-engaged learning, SEL, can advance community-centered approaches to sustainable energy development through inclusive and collaborative educational engagement opportunities. Through SEL and my work with the Utah International Mountain Forum and the Orem-Linden Rotary Partnership and with faculty mentorship, I have gained experiences in local research, community service, and collaborative international advocacy, alongside my wonderful fellow presenters. This past year, I have worked through the SEL model to combine direct service with research to examine how community-centered green governance can improve equitable, clean energy development for mountain communities. My comparative research draws upon China's rapid clean energy expansion to examine the benefits and redistributional risks of scaling clean energy systems. It finds that without meaningful local participation and community ownership for information and action pathways, the hidden environmental and economic costs of the energy transition can fall disproportionately on marginalized mountain communities. While free trade and expanding market access have substantially supported the global effort for clean energy through China's production and trade mechanisms, a systems perspective reminds us that sustainable development depends not only on expanding markets, but on strengthening the capacity of local communities to shape, own, and benefit from that transition through inclusive governance and education. Mountain regions face disproportionate impacts from elevation-dependent warming, water insecurity, food scarcity, and climate-related disasters associated with the emissions-heavy impacts of the fossil fuel industry. These interconnected challenges reinforce the importance of SDG 6, particularly Target 6.6, which calls for protecting and restoring water-related ecosystems, alongside SDG 7 and 15. As many mountain regions are central to freshwater systems and renewable energy production relationships, this water-energy nexus highlights the need for community-centered energy transitions, now more than ever. However, as cited by the Mountain Partnership, current reporting does not fully capture how clean energy expansion intersects with mountain sustainability, community ownership, or equitable distribution of benefits from global green energy scaling. As my research continues, I have identified Jordan as a growing renewable energy leader in a mountain-influenced desert landscape, facing climate and water challenges comparable in several respects to Utah. I look forward to learning from Jordan's 2026 Voluntary National Review at the High-Level Political Forum, particularly its work on the water, energy, food, environment nexus, and localized approaches to green energy governance. Student-engaged learning democratizes access to knowledge and empowers communities to become active partners in sustainable development. When employed through education, it capacity builds local mountain stakeholders' ability to address micro-context-specific challenges with solutions that reflect local needs and priorities. My recommendation to the World Trade Organization is to encourage member states to integrate and promote trade policies that strengthen community ownership, community-targeted language, and to analyze opportunities for the development of mountain community and landlocked community educational programs on local trade, to centralize capacity building for mountain communities' ownership of information and trade-critical knowledge pathways. Ultimately, a brighter future is not simply about generating cleaner power, but generating shared power that reframes mountain communities from peripheral casualties of a growing system to central stewards of one of the most critical global transitions. Thank you.
We will now move to a concluding statement from one of our international Congolese students, Antoine Mwamba, who is currently at the United Nations headquarters in New York City and has pre-recorded his message. Following his remarks, we will transition to the question and answer portion of our side event.
Distinguished delegates, my name is Antoine Mwamba, an international student from the Democratic Republic of the Congo at Utah Valley University and the president of the UVU Rotaract Club. I thank Dr. Maxtov for organizing this event featuring students driving learning for empowering mountain communities and landlocked developing countries through sustainable economic development, free trade opportunities, and inclusive growth. Today's side event demonstrates the importance of education in sustainable development. Thanks to student-engaged learning modules developed at Utah Valley University in partnership with the Kyrgyz peer 15 years ago. We are participating in this event to demonstrate how students working together under the mentorship of our professor can connect academic learning with real community needs. Through SEL, I have personally served local communities through our partnership with Orem Linden Rotaract Club. Together, we have assembled hygiene kits for local Utah County pantries, raise funds to provide coats for schools to children in need, and participate in many other community service projects. I have also had the opportunity to advocate for mountain women globally, including those from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, during the 70th session of the Commission on the Statute of Women on March 10, 2026. These experiences have demonstrated to me how student-engaged learning module can empower students, strengthen communities, and advance global awareness. Build upon these experiences, my research through SEL examines how open markets affect mountain communities in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. According to the World Bank, trade in goods and services represents approximately 91% of the DRC GDP, highlighting the country's growing integration into the global economic. As a participant in the African Continental Free Trade Area, the DRC has a new opportunity to expand regional trade, strengthen economic integrations, and increase participation in regional value chains. The country also possesses more than 80 million hectares of arable land and over 1,100 identified mineral substances, offering significant opportunities for mountain communities to diversify productions and participate in regional markets through better infrastructure and investments and market access. Despite these opportunities, the DRC rely heavily on exports of unproduced, unprocessed minerals, particularly cobalt, copper core, uranium, and other strategic resources such as coltan. This dependence limits opportunities for local value addition, economic diversification, and job creation, while making the economic more sensitive to change in international market prices. Therefore, expanding market access requires more than tariff reduction. Investment in infrastructure, education, processing capacity, and trade competitiveness are essential for mountain communities to fully benefit from new trade opportunities. As an SEL assignment, I will present our UIMF team within a few hours in the side event Acceleration Action for Mountain Region, delivering on the 5 years of actions hosted by the United Nations Mountain Partnership and mountain countries, including the Kyrgyz Republic, at the High Level Politics Forum on Sustainable Development here in New York. At HLPF studied the Volunteer National Review of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Burundi, and their progress towards Target 6.6 which focus on protecting and restoring water-related ecosystem in mountains. While I found that both VNRs from the Democratic Republic of the Congo as well as the one from Burundi contain very little discussion on mountain ecosystem. This allowed me to engage with officials from both nations during the general debate and discussion at the high-level Politic Forum to better understand their progress, challenges, and approach toward achieving these goals. In conclusion, the objective of the World Trade Organization, the aspiration of countries such as the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Burundi to maximize the benefits of free trade, the pursuit of sustainable mountain development are closely interconnected. Achieving sustainable development required not only strong national institutions, but also fair economic opportunities, resilient infrastructure, and inclusive education. Together, these investments can empower mountain communities and contribute to a more just and sustainable future. Thank you for your time.
For now, we're going to move to the Q&A section of this event for about like 6 minutes or so, and then we will go to the concluding remark to Dr. Maksutov. And then I will monitor the Q&A in person here, and then Kos and I will monitor the online presence. Is there any questions so far?
First, on behalf of the U.S. mission to the WTO, I just want to thank you for such engaging presentations that were very informative. You guys did a great job. I'd say that gracefully handling technical difficulties is a key diplomatic skill that you all exhibited, so congratulations. I believe it was the second student speaker who mentioned a role for AI in terms of trade facilitation. And it seems like this week in Geneva is AI week because there's so many events. I think everyone's thinking about that subject. So I was just curious if anyone here had put any thought, and it's okay if not, but had thought about how AI could help mountainous and landlocked countries in terms of trade facilitation, how that might look in practice. No worries if not, just wanted to throw that out for discussion.
Yeah, so my colleague Dominic and I attended an event yesterday at the AI for Good Summit where there were multiple researchers, scientists who are presenting on how artificial intelligence can help with things like landslide detection or other natural disasters. They each kind of touched on different emergencies, and something that they focused on was the fact that the implementation of artificial intelligence will never replace the knowledge that humans have or the ability to execute. But however, AI implementation in things like sustainable mountain development, which includes handling disasters, detecting them, and cleanup after disasters, including finding even citizens of countries in rubble. Artificial intelligence can be used to enhance and increase resilience in response to these things. And so, yeah, I think in sustainable mountain development, there's a lot that can be said about how AI can contribute to increase resilience in a lot of different ways.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I think that well, AI is going to be playing an increasingly important role in development, and one of the key aspects of this that should not be neglected is how similar to trade facilitation, AI has the potential to reduce the costs to traders in terms of giving them access to knowledge in places where they may not necessarily have the expertise that they may need. I think that one of the critical issues when it comes to development is the acquisition or the deployment of this knowledge and know-how. And in that sense, I think that we all now have a very important tool in the sense that immediately we can have a support in terms of that of knowledge. For example, if I'm a farmer or working in the Kashmir industry in Mongolia, on, for example, marketing opportunities or how to better market my product, how to contact the manufacturers in Europe that may use my product. How do I, involve myself more in these value chains? I think that is an important aspect of AI in terms of how it contributes to reducing the cost of knowledge, just like trade facilitation contributed to reduce the cost of trade.
I took part in the AI forum, AI in Goods, and I met with our Kyrgyz enthusiast, the head of the Kyrgyz Technopark, and we have talked about different aspects of how AI can improve decrease the cost of goods and increase the access to the markets. And he gave us very important information. He told that now Kyrgyz Technopark, they are elaborating a AI platform to include Kyrgyz language to the AI system, so that, and when they started, there was many other countries when they bring this idea to the international platform. Many countries, they really need, for example, we can say there are many small languages, small nations with some group of people who don't know, for example, global languages like English, French, and more than 30 nations, they wanted to take this system, how the Kyrgyz did, and to organize this. They organized this small nations AI powerhouse. So if this project will be implemented for the small nations, a Urdu person or Kyrgyz person in the mountain or in Tanzania, if they can go to internet and through their own language, because they don't know, they may not know the other global languages, they can access to the information. So here AI can make a big contribution, and we can easily link it with the trade. So this is one important thing. Yeah, thank you.
I hate to end the discussion, but we are at time. It's 3:30. We will just close with Dr. Maksutov remarks. And then please, after, we would love to mingle with you guys, answer more questions, have more of a discussion, as we will be here after. So please go, Dr. Maksutov.
So thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank Gulsunay and Natalia for your very effective moderation. And also, although there were some technical issues, you could find, you had very nice set scenario how to make the alternative way, how to make smoother the process. So I think the event was very well organized and very well implemented. So I would like to distinguish guests, colleagues from the US and Mongolian missions, dear WTO Secretariat, Raul, dear professors, Mr. Jumaliev, Mr. Dissart, Mr. Abdelsaev, dear students, you are the key drivers of today's event. As we come to the end of this very inspiring event, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of you, young students, young speakers, for those enthusiasm which you have today demonstrated to this research and fresh perspectives and fresh ideas you brought to within the walls of the World Trade Organization. And you made this discussion today very memorable for us. Thank you very much for this. Today's event has reminded us that an important truth: geography shapes our challenges, but it doesn't define our future. Mountains and landlocked countries may face unique constraints, yet they also possess extraordinary resilience, creativity, and untapped potential. We have heard today that trade is not simply about moving goods across borders. It's about creating opportunities for people, connecting communities, empowering women and youth, protecting our environment, and building more inclusive and sustainable economies. What gives today me the greatest optimism is that seeing the next generation in your face, you are actively engaged in these discussions, The ideas presented by students from Dalato University, from the Utah University, from Mongolia, you demonstrate that future of international cooperation is in very capable and very effective hands. Your commitment, as we witnessed it today very well, to finding practical solutions gives us confidence that tomorrow's leaders will build a trading system that's more inclusive, more sustainable, and more responsive to our all needs. Yes, you can be sure that we, with WTO Secretariat, you can be sure that all the ideas you have given today, they will well fixed, well recorded, and we will use in our work as a diplomats. Because these ideas you brought very fresh, very how to say, out of the today's days, because you are younger generation, you think in a different way, and you address these issues in your let's say effective and fresh aspects and prism. So that's why for Kyrgyz Republic, mountains are not just a part of our landscape, but this is our identity, and I'm sure that state of Utah also has mountains, and Mongolia has mountains. So this is also part of our identity for our three countries, and also for all other mountains countries. And we firmly believe that stronger partnership between governments, international organizations, between academia as we see today, and young people can transform common challenges into shared opportunities. Let's today dialogue, I wish, not be a conclusion of our cooperation. Let it be our start of our new cooperation vector. And at the beginning of the new partnership, new research, and new initiatives that will benefit mountain and the landlocked communities around the world. So I would like to thank once more again everyone who have contributed with your presentations to our discussions, and special thanks to WTO Secretariat who provided this nice venue with this nice view to the lake. Thanks for our Bishkek Alato University representatives for participating in this event. And we today, I think we did a great job. So that's why I would like to once more thank you for this very effective, very informative event. Thank you very much.
Yes, so, well, I think that as Nurbek just said, I mean, it has been a very interesting event. I thank you very much for bringing those perspectives from such varied geographical situations, not just Utah, Mongolia, or Kyrgyzstan, but also some of the work that you have done on Japan, on the Alps communities as well, on Italy, so, and on the also small island countries like St. Vincent and Tonga. And I think that this has been a very interesting event, and I am at your service. I will ask Nurbek to share my contact details with you. So if I can in the future help you out in your research or in your work, I'll be very much happy to do so. So thank you for coming here to the WTO, and it was great listening to you.
Your Excellency, Dr. Maksutov, for your closing remarks and for your support of this important event. On behalf of the students organizers, we would like to thank our distinguished speakers, Your Excellencies, official, faculty mentors, and all students participants for joining us today. Thank you.